Laser sights will make you a more accurate and confident shooter by providing visual feedback on sight alignment and trigger control. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, another attack in a school followed by immediate calls for something to be done. But what can be done? What are some possible answers? Hear from security experts as we learn more about the murders at a Texas school. Call in now at 866-TALK-GUN with your questions, comments, and ideas. And now, here's Tom Gresham.
Hello and welcome to Gun Talk. I'm Tom Gresham. Yes, we're going to be talking about guns and, of course, the news of the day and the news of the week. As we always do, we try to factor in what we're doing, the things we do with guns that are fun at the range, safe and responsible. We try to work on that as much as we can. At the same time, we have to talk about the events of the day, the things that we're all talking about, which in this case, of course, is a school shooting, a mass murder in Santa Fe, Texas. And we're going to talk about that a fair amount because inevitably, and in this case strangely, because we'll talk about what's strange about it, we have the calls for more gun control. We have the calls for more restrictions on you. We have the calls for us to do things that we know don't work. We have the calls to do things that have nothing to do with what just happened. It's all very strange. It's all very odd, but it's all very predictable. And it's all actually, when you really look into it, it's all very understandable because you start to find out, okay, that's what they're really after. It's the old deal of, yeah, we know, we understand. It was a shotgun and it was a revolver. Therefore, we will call for a ban on semi-automatic firearms. Huh? It really does kind of show you the lie of the whole gun control industry. The gun ban industry, which is, at its core, and you got to understand, remember, I've been following this for decades now. I've seen them do this over and over, way back when they were talking about Saturday night specials. Because at the time, that was a term they created. They thought, well, okay, we can't ban all guns, but maybe we can frighten the public into getting rid of small, concealable handguns. We'll call them Saturday night specials. We know it actually won't do any good. But if we can at least establish the concept of there being good guns and bad guns, and we can ban bad guns, once you have gotten a buy-in on that basic concept, there are good guns and there are bad guns, and we should get rid of the bad guns, then we can keep expanding the bad gun category. They tried that for years, and 25 years ago, they gave up on Saturday night specials. That wasn't flying. And then the guy came up with, I think it was Josh Sugarman, came up with the concept of, we'll call them assault weapons. And he was open about it. He said, look, the public doesn't understand the difference between semi-automatic and full automatic, and we'll confuse them. We'll get them frightened. We'll scare them. So now we see very clearly this week, last couple of days, a shotgun and a revolver are used in a mass murder, and they call for a ban on assault weapons, semi-automatic firearms. This is very simple to understand. This is very simple. They simply want some gun to ban, knowing that it will do no good, knowing that it will not result in a decrease in crime, and knowing that when it doesn't reduce crime, they will simply say, we didn't ban enough guns. It's all part of the plan. Find something we can ban and then start there and then just grow it and grow it and grow it. Fortunately, they're kind of out of the closet now. They keep saying, hey, we want to ban all your guns. F your Second Amendment, they say. Here's the thing. But there are things we can do. I want to start from this position before I bring in my guest. I want to start from this position. Everybody on all sides of this, if they're honest, if they're not pushing a gun ban agenda, if they're truly honest, we all want the same thing. We want increased safety. We want increased security. and we would like to somehow slow down or even stop the mass murders. Okay, we understand that that's not an achievable goal, a complete stop, but we want to do something about it. We differ on what we think will work. Okay, try to be fair about this. You and I, if we are gun people, we look at this and say, we know what has been tried, and we know what has failed. The gun banners don't know what has been tried. They don't know what has failed, and they keep promoting things that have already been tried and have failed. But the core of all of that is there are things we can do. There are things we should do. There are things we should do as a society, as a nation, as in your state, in your town, and there are things you should do individually as a person. There are things we can do to help this situation. You and I can do these things. Let me bring in, he's been on our show before. Andy Brown is the author of a book, Warnings Unheeded, Twin Tragedies at Fairfield Air Force Base. He is one of the very few people you'll ever meet or talk to who has actually stopped a mass murder in progress. Andy, thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, the short version is, your book is fascinating. I highly, highly recommend people get it. It's called Warnings Unheeded. And it's not just about the mass murder. It's about what precipitated it. It's about understanding, paying attention to the warning signs, and there were so many in this case. It's also about what you did as an individual, one guy with a handgun against a guy with a rifle, and you, to put a fine point on it, you shot him at 70-plus yards with your handgun and stopped the mass murder. As you listen to the discussions that happened, like after the shooting in Texas, with your background, you have become not just a student of all of this, but an instructor of all of this. What are the first things that come to your mind?
Well, it's frustrating to see the focus on the tool used or the means that people use to commit violence, because, like you said, it's not effective to go after the tools. You need to get to the root cause of it and try to prevent it before it happens, and or focus on interdicting it as it happens to try to limit the loss of life.
It's interesting.
Going after the gun is only going to punish the law-abiding.
We had, of course, these two different scenarios. We had a school shooting in Illinois where school resource officers shot the gunman, if you will, stopped it. They have this one where school resource officers intervened and may have saved a lot of lives in the process. What we are starting, and I guess here's a question for you. Is the public starting to see the value of immediate interdiction when it happens?
I think a certain segment of the public has already known that. I don't know if it's getting enough coverage in the media. Mm-hmm. They seem to have a focus on the firearm and not how to end these things.
You had no idea you were going to be tossed into the middle of a mass murder and be called on. But one of the things that I got out of your book is you decided, you were security, military security, you decided to make yourself a tool. You made yourself a weapon. You decided to take this stuff seriously, and you trained and trained and trained to the point where you were prepared when it happened. And it's one of those deals. It may never have happened, but when it happened, you were ready. What motivated you to just become nearly obsessive about the training?
Well, specifically because of my job, I knew that being on a military base where nobody but law enforcement was allowed to carry a firearm, I knew that if anything happened, that it would be me called upon. So I told myself that it could happen to me and did all I could to prepare for it. Just had that mindset to not be in denial and to do all I could to be ready.
Well, obviously you were. When somebody asks you, and you have this unique background of having been there, done that, but also studied it. You have this really super book about what led up to it and all the missed opportunities. And I guess that's a lot of there were so many missed opportunities to stop it along the way. And I know people ask you, as I'm doing, okay, so what should we be doing? And you talk about, interdiction. We can maybe change the setup so we can pay attention, be more aware. When somebody asks you, what do you tell them? What should we be doing now?
We should try to learn from all the past incidents, learn from our history, because they all share several commonalities as far as there were warning signs and things that you can learn to recognize and take action before the person commits violence. So you learn to recognize it, and you can prevent it before it even happens if you have the systems in place to act on that. But
to do that, you have to be willing to act on what may not be clear-cut, obvious information. Somebody doesn't have to stand up and yell, I'm going to kill everybody next week. That's generally not what they do. So you have to work on not totally conclusive information, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it is clear and obvious, but other times there are just some indicators. But it's enough to where it warrants looking into it further instead of just dismissing it and saying, oh, it's probably nothing.
Right. Well, of course, down in Florida, they had, literally dozens of opportunities to interdict that. There's just a complete failure of everybody involved. Police,
Absolutely.
Sheriff's Department, FBI, everybody dropped the ball. Everybody screwed up. And then I tell people, okay, because they say, well, we should do this. Yeah, okay, right. We should do this. Yeah, yeah. And then I keep saying one thing over and over again, and it drives them nuts when I do it. I say, and what are you going to do when that doesn't work? What do you mean? Well, when all of your checking for signs doesn't work, and now he's headed for the school. Well, we're going to have locks on the doors. Okay, great. And what are you going to do when that doesn't work? Huh? Well, he's now into school. It's like they don't want to go there mentally because, I don't know, is it a defense mechanism that people don't want to go mentally to the place where they say, we will have to actually take action against this person in the school?
Yeah, some of them are just going through the motions. They don't actually think it's going to happen, but they're doing little fixes to just give them some peace of mind. They really are in denial and don't think it's going to happen. Like my kids' school recently, I've been working with them to try to improve their security, and I go there to pick up my kid, and they've got new security doors that you have to get buzzed in, but they prop them open at certain times of the day because the traffic's too heavy.
Right. This would be inconvenient to have to buzz everybody in because then we have a line of people.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's the old. Yeah, I get it. Andy, I once again I want to applaud you for your book. Thank you for sharing your experience. It is terrific, and I want to recommend it to anybody who wants to be a student of all of this. The book is titled "Warnings Unheeded: Twin Tragedies at Fairfield Air Force Base." It's by Andy Brown, available obviously on Amazon and a lot of different places. It is really an important work, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Outstanding. That's the reason I wrote it, is to try to teach people how to recognize these things and learn from the past.
Yep, it's for institutions as well as individuals, and it's really inspiring and tons of information, very dense. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, you take care. All right, 866-TALK-GUN is our number here, or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are people telling you? And what is your response to them? Well, in fact, what is your take as you look at the mass murder in Santa Fe, Texas? What do you think we ought to do? 866-TALK-GUN.
Think all ammo's the same? Think again. Aguila Ammunition uses the highest quality materials and is one of the world's largest rimfire manufacturers. Want silent 22 ammo, powderless Super Calibri, and Sniper Subsonic merely whisper. For light recoil and big performance, mini shells make any shotgun a pleasure to shoot. Match grade and the Hyperfast Super Maximum and Interceptor 22 loads get the maximum for your rifle or pistol. Visit AguilaAmmo.com/rimfire. Feed your firearm.
The battlefield, where tyranny is laid to rest, where freedom comes of age, and where legends are conceived. Introducing the FN509 handgun, a direct result of over 1 million rounds of testing. Descended from over 125 years of the world's most battle-proven firearms on battlefields both foreign and domestic. The FN509, a legend in the making. Learn more at fnamerica.com.
This land once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
I spy a black pickup truck. Oh, come on. How about something a little easier? Okay, I spy error-free forms, fast ATF processing, a 90-day money-back guarantee, and the largest inventory in the industry. I spy Powered By. That's right. With over 300 Powered By Silencer Shop retailers nationwide, there's always one close by. Is that easy enough for you? Ha! Almost too easy.
Demand Powered By. Shop our industry-leading inventory at silencershop.com.
All right, back with you, Tom Gresham here, 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial me at Tom Talk Gun. Obviously, we're talking about this latest mass murder. It's disconcerting, it's troubling, it's sad, it's heart-wrenching, it's horrific. It's all of those things. You have a bunch of families that are burying their children right now. It's horrific. And yet, I hear people reflexively jump to guns. Well, we have too many guns. Guns are too easily available. We need to do this. Wait. You know, if you remember back to your junior high or high school science, one of the things they taught you was kind of the scientific method. As you're analyzing something, if something changes, find out what variable changed. If your results change, something, you did something. You changed something. What was it that changed? In this case, decades ago, we had people, youngsters, taking guns to school, leaving them in their school lockers. No school shootings. A few decades later, we had kids going to school and leaving their guns in their pickup trucks. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, no school shootings. You could buy guns at any age before 1968. No school shootings to speak of. You could own a gun at any age. You could buy a gun from a local hardware store or a gas station. There was no such thing as a licensed gun store. Guns were much more easily available. No school shootings. So the access to guns did not change. But crime at schools did. The willingness of people to murder other people changed, irrespective of the tool used. So if you have this ongoing line and one variable, i.e. access to firearms, did not change, but the results change, you have to go find what the other variable or variables are that may have changed. There are some out there, and we would certainly talk about that. Jordan's on line 3 out of Palm Desert, California. He's got an idea. Hey, Jordan, when you look at all of this stuff and you think about what can we do, what comes to mind?
Well, this isn't my idea, but it's something that I read in a Steven Pinker book, Enlightenment Now, and it's the idea that the perpetrators' names and identities are so spread in the media, and the way that that has to influence others and make them want to get their bit of notoriety for the act. And I can't help but think that if there wasn't so much coverage, you know, and one thing that you were just talking about with things changing. I mean, there's more information, and people are getting their, these stories are all over the internet nonstop. And I think that's really inspiring other people to do these same things.
I completely agree with you, Jordan. Look, I appreciate that. Thank you for your call. In fact, I'm looking at this article. I put it up on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you would have already seen this. By the way, you should be following me on Twitter. I am at Gun Talk on Twitter. If you follow me there, you will get all this information ongoing all the time. I don't beat you up with what I've been doing. It's basically news stories. The title of this is Stop Paying Mass Murderers to Kill Our Kids. Say what? It starts off with, mass murderers kill our kids for simple reasons. Mass murder of innocents gives the murderer a powerful reward. Yes, murder pays. In fact, the payoff is huge. The payoff is also extremely reliable. As shocking as it is when our innocent children are murdered in our schools, we are not coming anywhere close to best practices in our effort to stop these horrific events. The sad fact is that mass murderers are learning and reacting faster than we are. Murderers are learning faster than our politicians and our school officials. Murderers are certainly learning faster than our news media. The point of his story is murderers get exactly what they want out of this. That is, they get to be famous. When you become famous by doing this, we celebrate them. We publish their names. One of my listeners wrote to a TV station down in Houston, and said, "Why are you publishing the name of this guy? It's going to encourage more of him." They answered back, and it was telling. They said, "Because it's the truth, and we put out the truth." Now, anybody who's been to a journalism school knows you don't know what the truth is. You have no idea what the truth is. You may know facts, but you certainly will never know the truth. The fact that they think they are putting out the truth tells you a lot about what they think their role is, which is, we are here to tell you what the truth is, as opposed to telling you what the facts are. Therein lies part of our problem. As long as we keep paying these murderers with their celebrity, we will continue to get mass murders.
Sign up for our Gun Talk newsletter and join the Truth Squad at www.guntalk.com. Now, back to Gun Talk with Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm Tom Gresham, by the way. Our number here is 866-TALK-GUN. It is easier. Just dial Tom Talk Gun. Tom, that's me. Tom Talk Gun. That's what we're going to be doing today. A lot of things to talk about. We're going to have some super trained trainers, people who teach active response to active killers. Talk about what you can do to make yourself better, what you can do to make your schools in your area safer, what you can do to help curb the environment that creates these mass murderers. Because they are created. I love this line from this article I was talking about. It says, "We elevate these mass murders to rock star status. And that is why these murderers kill our kids." It continues, when you turn psychopaths into celebrities, then you get more psychopaths. The copycats take 4 to 6 weeks to hatch their plans. We saw over 70 copycat attempts after the mass murders at Columbine High School. Trends are headed in the wrong direction, and media coverage of mass murder has increased since that attack took place. One of the things you can do, you and the members of your family can do, you and your friends can do, is every time the media starts showing us the pictures and the names and the background and the backstory of the history of these murderers, call on them to stop. And they will ignore us at first. But when they get hundreds and then thousands and then tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of emails and calls and post on Facebook saying, stop this. You are creating murderers. It just might get them to take a look at what they do and how they do it. And it's free. It costs nothing. What it costs you is a little bit of your time. And I'm talking about just a little bit. But you just say, stop this. You are creating murderers. You are making celebrities out of them. When you do that, you encourage others to want to achieve the same level of celebrity. Stop it. And, of course, they'll puff up and say, well, we're journalists. We have to tell you everything. No. You're members of society. And if you're creating murderers, then you must stop. It really is as simple as that. Yeah, I know it's ratings. I know that's what they're doing. But you know what? Okay, so go after the ratings. Say, all right, here's the deal. I am now telling everybody I know to stop watching your station. We're going to do a total boycott, and we're going to go after every one of your advertisers. And I'll tell them, as long as you keep creating murderers, we're going to stop watching your shows. And we're going to stop buying the products that are advertised on your shows. And if you advertise on one of these stations, you can contact them and say, guys, I'm pulling my ads. You want to get somebody's attention, you pull their money. When we elevate these mass murderers to rock star status, then we're going to get murderers killing our kids. We'll be talking a good bit more about this as we go along. There's so much to talk about here. CNN reports that the numbers of school shootings, and of course they're faking the whole deal. It's just all bogus, all lies. They include domestic violence. They include gang shootings next to schools as school shootings. It's a way to elevate the numbers to motivate people to do something. They're no longer reporters. They're participants. They're activists with an agenda. CNN is, in fact, the definition of fake news. Line 2. Larry's with us out of Atlanta, Georgia. Larry, you looking for an AR?
Tom, I am. Tom, I'm shotgun for either an AR-15 or an AR-10. I want to use it for self-protection and also for hunting. I'm interested in a gun that's versatile, that's accurate, and now for me, price is not a consideration, although I want super value for my dollar. What do you recommend in an AR-10 or an AR-15, and which one is better for me?
It really is going to depend. I mean, you're basically really talking about the difference in calibers. If you want to use your semi-automatic modern rifle for instance, deer hunting, I would probably tend toward an AR-10 that would allow you to shoot larger 308 size cartridges. If you're talking primarily home defense, self-defense, or just shooting for fun, because the ammo is good and cheaper, I would go with an AR-15, which has a smaller receiver where you can shoot the .223 or .556, same cartridge essentially, and a lot of other cartridges, 300 blackout in there. So it's really, it's kind of going to be, there's no real correct choice. I would probably stay with the AR-15 to start off with. It's going to be a good bit less expensive to operate, to shoot. And at a certain point, if you say, okay, I love this, it's working great for me, and now I want an AR-10, you can go ahead and get one of those. But I would start out with an AR-15 just because, it's simple. And if it were me, I would be looking at weight as a consideration. A lot of folks have put out over the years some really heavy ARs. I would try to find one that's lightweight, has a trim forearm on it, flat top that you can put optic on of some sort, either a red dot or a scope. And then the main thing is, buy yourself a dozen or more magazines and put the rest of your money into ammo and practice. Does that help?
Tom, it does. Tom, a fast question, Tom. Again, if money was not an object, but you wanted super value for your dollar, could you recommend a particular AR-10 or an AR-15 that you would get if you were in my boots?
I don't recommend a particular one because if you are spending in the, let's just pick some numbers here, $600 to $800 or $600 to $900 range, there are probably 35 to 50 that will work. Nobody is making junk anymore. And so it really comes down to what can you get at a good price point for you. I would definitely say buy a known manufacturer. I would get, if you're going to pick a Ruger, a Colt, a Smith, a Springfield Armory Saint, one of the brand names that that you recognize for your first gun. Later on, you want to go build your own, that's cool, but I would certainly get one from a known gun maker. And then and I know it sounds weird, I wouldn't stress about the brand. I wouldn't stress about it. It's all changeable, and that's one of the beauties of the whole modern rifles concept, is everything on the rifle is changeable. The barrel, the upper, the forearm, the stock, the grip, the sights, everything is changeable. So when you get it, just get it and then start shooting it. And once you start shooting it, you'll kind of get an idea of what you want, and then you'll be good to go. You can swap out parts. Then Brownells becomes your friend. I wish you luck with it, and you're going to have a lot of fun. Look, I appreciate the call. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, let's talk about what you personally can do to make yourself a tool for keeping others safe. And there are some things you can do.
Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis. Whether you're unbalanced, evading a threat, or engaging from behind cover, a laser sight aids in keeping you on target. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our laser training video, The Laser's Edge, and learn more about why Crimson Trace is making laser sights standard equipment.
The pistol that redefined pocket carry just got even better. The Ruger LCP-2 has improved sights, an easy-to-rack slide, a larger textured grip surface for a secure grip and recoil reduction, and a short, crisp, single-action trigger pull for real-world accuracy. It's so small and light that there's no reason to ever leave home without your LCP-2. A serious pistol in a pint-sized package. Learn more about the LCP-2 at Ruger.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Using my XM satellite in my car, I can listen to the CNN and Fox News. I switch it over to MSNBC occasionally. I'd kind of bounced around. I was on MSNBC a couple of days ago, and I heard a candidate for Congress, a woman out of Virginia, and she was talking about how we needed gun control, gun control, gun control. She said something that I thought was fascinating and telling and revealing. And I offer it for your consideration because when you scratch your head and you go, I don't understand these people, this might help. She said, yes, we had someone at a presentation. He was, I think it's a police chief, and he was explaining how school shootings are not as prevalent as people are talking about, and your chances of being killed in one are small. She says, I don't want to hear statistics about this. She says, our children don't feel safe. In other words, I don't want to hear what the facts are. I don't want to hear what the situation actually is. I don't want to know what works and what doesn't work. I just want people to be able to feel safe. Note that when she and others say that, they're not saying, I want people to be safe. That's not the goal. I want you to feel safe. Interesting. Revealing. The best way to feel safe is to be safe. The concept here is, if I don't know that the thing I am proposing doesn't actually work, I can actually then choose to feel safe. Even though I won't be safe, but I can put this bubble around me so that I can pretend and I can convince my children that they are safe, even though nothing has changed. Now, the fact is, you're still much, much, much more likely to be injured or killed driving to school than being at school. And no one is addressing that. Fascinating, fascinating. Mike's in Houston, Texas, on line 4. Hey, Mike. Got a range report for us? Yes, sir.
Listen, I purchased a M1 Garand through a used company that sells used guns. Mm-hmm. Took it out to the range, and lo and behold, I pulled the trigger, and it's almost like I've got an automatic firing off. So I break down the trigger assembly, and come to find out that the sear pin has been filed down.
Oh.
Now I'm looking for a local supplies place where I can buy a new trigger assembly with a standard sear pin.
Well, don't limit yourself to looking locally. That's I mean, you might find one, but there's no reason to say I'm going to find something locally when you can maybe get it off the internet and just put it in yourself.
Ah, okay.
I'm going to do two things. One, I'm going to call for some help because if people will be able to call in and help us with this. But two, I'm going to recommend that you tomorrow give our good friends at Brownells a call. Are you familiar with Brownells?
I am.
Okay. If you'll call Brownells during their regular working hours and ask to speak to one of their techs, because they've got close to a dozen now gunsmiths who are really, really good. And just tell them what you got. Tell them what happened here. And they're going to say, oh, okay, you need this, and we sell it. Or you need this other thing, and we don't have it, but this is who has it. Or you're going to need to do this other thing. But whatever it is, they're going to know. And
yeah,
when it comes
I'm kind of concerned that if I buy one piece, I may find out that I may need more than one piece.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. It's a really good conversation to have with the Brownells techs because, I mean, when it comes to gunsmithing, they're my guys. When I pick up a screwdriver, people call 911. It's just that it's that bad. So, I don't pretend to be a gunsmith. I don't even, I'm kind of the box of parts guy. If I take it apart, I'll probably take it to somebody in a box, all the parts. So, but they really are the guys. Give them a holler, okay?
I shall do. An excellent show. I wished it was just longer.
Well, I appreciate it. Spread the word. Tell everybody about Gun Talk. We appreciate that. Thank you, sir. If the gun is doubling, by the way, it's not legal. I don't know if it actually is doubling. If you pull the trigger once, it goes off more than once. It may be that it's just so light it feels like it is. But a gun that doubles or goes off more than once with one pull of the trigger becomes illegal. So you need to get that fixed immediately. So just kind of one of those deals. All right. Putting more school resource officers in schools. Good idea? Most people think so. Now, there are some people say, no, more guns are not the answer. Really? I love it. They say, well, why do we have people with guns here? And then they look around and there's like 100 cops on the scene and they don't care about those guys and gals because they're wearing their guns. Some guns are good, some guns are bad. Yeah, well, school resource officers, good idea. And if they're a good idea, why not put more good trained people with guns in schools? Why not have the person that's in the classroom be able to protect the children? All right, back with you. Going straight to the phones. Line 1, Matthew's in Metairie, Louisiana. Matthew, the FASTER program in Ohio. Talk about it.
Yeah, well, I think that's the baseline. Really all schools should consider adopting this as the baseline. Not everybody has to carry a gun, but the bad guy doesn't know who has a gun.
The FASTER program, they train teachers. Let me jump in. The FASTER program trains teachers, volunteers, spend their own time there, to get training. It's a multi-day training program. They put a number of teachers through the program. To date, they've had no incidents with anything going wrong with it. And I think they've also imported that to other states now. So if you're in a state and you're interested in this, look up the FASTER program in Ohio, and they'll help you out there. I think David on 2 has something that kind of folds into that. Hey, David, you're on.
Yes, Tom. I've always been struck by how fast, when they introduced the sky marshals, during all the hijackings they had back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, how quickly that problem went away. When you have a nondescript person on board that has a firearm, no one knows who he is, they rotate him around, and they're always possibly on an airplane.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. We talk about have school resource officers there, but you know who that is because he or she's wearing a uniform. It occurs to me as you were talking there, David, you know what the modern equivalent in schools of air marshals would be, don't you? Teachers. No one would know which of the teachers had volunteered to get the training who was carrying a gun. And maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%, but nobody knows. And what's happened now is that the school resource officer now becomes the first target. The kids know who that is. They could just walk up and shoot him or her and then get on about their work. But they don't know which teacher, which administrator, which coach, which janitor is carrying and has training and knows what to do and can stop it. One of the points, and thank you for the call, one of the points of this whole thing is time is everything. Imagine that you didn't call the police and no one ever came, just as the outside parameter. The killer would have as much time as he wants to kill people, to kill as many as he wants. Okay. On the other side, imagine that when he walked in the door, someone stopped him, and so the count was 0. Well, that's not going to happen, probably. You react when something happens, probably he starts shooting somebody, and what you want is to have the fastest reaction possible, realistically. That's what you're trying for. I don't know how we prevent it. We try. And I think hardening up schools and having better security there is a great idea. I think we definitely should be doing that. But at the same time, once it starts, you have to stop it as fast as you can. Do that by having someone right there. So you don't have to call somebody to drive to your location. A school resource officer is a good idea, assuming he will actually engage, i.e. Florida, Parkland, hiding behind a car. Don't trust your safety to anybody else, including the police. Let me say that again. Do not trust your safety or the safety of your children to anyone other including the police. It's you. Up to you. On the topic of how do you make yourself better, what should you do? When we come back, we're going to be talking to a guy who's been there, done that in many parts of the world, who now trains people. And we're going to be talking about how do you make yourself better? How do you work every day? And I mean literally every day. There are things you can do every single day so that you can react more appropriately, more quickly, more effectively, and you can make yourself a weapon, if you will, or at least a tool for saving lives. It requires a commitment on your part. The question is, are you ready to do it? If so, when we come back, we're going to have some information about how you can do it and how you can get started.